Ludlow and Rivington streets. And they've finally gotten it done to rename that whole area Beastie Boys Square.
Nice.
New York City Council just approved it. Paul's Boutique, if you remember, that place on the cover of Paul's Boutique was on this corner, I think. That clothing store. So the Beastie Boys Square is what they're calling it now. So if you're one of our bureau chiefs there in New York, or you're planning a trip and you're a huge Beastie Boys fan, don't sleep on that one. Ludlow and Rivington, right there on the corner, the Lower East Side.
But they don't tour anymore.
Well, Adam Yauch is dead.
Well, I know that, but there's still two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Ad Rock and Mike D.
Mm-hmm.
I would love, it's my sister's favorite band. I would love to take her to see them, but I
don't think they're going to do anything.
Don't do it.
No. But did they all grow up rich? Mike D grew up very rich.
I believe so.
They were all rich kids, right?
I think so.
I remember a couple of years ago, maybe a year before last, Mike D, his mother had died, and they put his childhood home, the home that she still lived in, Central Park West. She'd lived there for 50 years. It's the house he grew up in. And they put it on the market for $19.5 million. He's like, yeah, when I was a kid, my friends all said I lived in a museum. It was this, his mom was some, I don't know what his dad did. The bulk of the money might have come from his dad, but his mom was like this very successful art dealer or something like that. And so the house that he grew up in was this multi-floor penthouse unit on Central Park West. Yeah.
I took my sister to see a Beastie Boys cover band called Rhymin' and Stealin'.
They weren't called the Animal Men?
No. And she loved it. She was like, this is incredible. We had a lot of fun. Fake Ad Rock blew me a kiss. But not to brag.
Fake Ad Rock blew me a kiss.
But yeah, it made me bummed out that I'm like, man, you never get to see the real thing, you know?
You never saw the real Beastie Boys?
I was too young, but I don't think she might have seen them live. I'm not sure if she did or not, but
because when's the last time they even went on tour? I feel like
wouldn't have been the 90s. That guy didn't die until the 2000s, right?
I mean, I saw them in 2004 at the United Center.
Okay.
Yeah. But Adam Yauch died when? How long ago was that?
I want to say like
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Oh, that long ago? 2012.
Yeah.
May 4th, 2012. So just 10 years. Wow. 10 years already.
Yeah, they all had pretty rich parents.
Well, there you go. Good. They were able to put all that aside. They were able to ignore
their perfect
upbringings and get some respect from the streets.
You guys ever get jealous of people like that?
No.
Where they have been handed everything, and that's why.
Like Kid Rock?
Well, it plays into their success. Where it's like, what is it, board on third base or whatever they say? Like that drives me nuts.
But I think it also depends. I think those people are tough to take when they act like. When they lack self-awareness. Mm-hmm. You know, everybody's trying to dunk on Tom Brady because he said the hardest part of raising their kids is the wealth. He said parenting when you're rich and famous is the hardest thing that he has to do. And people are laughing at him, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, but that's their reality.
Yeah.
And if you grow up wealthy, if you're smart about it, some people don't care. They're like,
whatever, this is what
whatever.
we have.
You're right. But other people are like trying to tell their kids, and it sounds like that's what Tom Brady's trying to do. This is not how most people live.
You have to work for things, like trying to not raise little stuck up.
And who better to tell you that than a professional athlete?
Yeah.
Like you can't be handed a career in professional sports. You know what I mean? It's not like acting or it's even acting. They always talk to kids of famous people, and they go, it's hard for us. Because people don't want to talk to us.
Don't take you seriously.
Yeah, because they think that they think you're going to walk in and just.
We have people that clean for us. We have people that make our food. We have people that drive us to the airport if we need that. We get off a plane and there's people waiting there for us, and we get ushered in. And it's just, that's my kid's reality, which is the hard part to say, guys, this is not the way reality really is.
It's not the way most people's
then kick
reality.
Them out. Make them go earn for themselves. Say, if you want your dad to kiss you on the lips, you got to earn this kiss.
That's right. When you get out into the world, grown men aren't going to kiss you on the lips.
No.
If you're lucky. I mean, maybe.
Unless you want. I mean, there's going to be takers.
When I was growing up, my best friend at the time, he died in the mid-'90s. He had just moved to L.A. to become he was pursuing a career in magic. And he got hit by a drunk driver on Mulholland. He was 25. So he died. He's been dead a long time. But he was my best friend when we were kids. And our parents were best friends. And they were loaded. They had a massive house, the whole bit, all right? And we were a middle-class family. You know, we never wanted for anything, but we weren't wealthy by any means. And I mostly, because we went to Catholic school, I was mostly going to school with rich kids. So this family, it was him, he had a couple of sisters and the mom and dad and whatever, and they were crazy loaded. The dad was like the CEO of some manufacturing company in Chicago. Well, the dad dies when we're like in junior high or something. And what nobody knew is that the dad was leveraged to the hilt. He was in so much debt, like there were multiple mortgages taken out on the house and blah, blah, blah. So they literally went from riches to rags. He dies. The mom had no clue that any of this stuff was going on. It got really bad for that family and stayed pretty bad. Like the mom moved to Florida because the kids were getting older.
Yeah.
It was a wild turn of events. So you never know what's going on behind the scenes. You never know what scaffolding is underneath, hidden to prop all that kind of stuff up. You know, there are people obviously who are at a level of wealth that you couldn't lose it. You know, like Tom Brady's never going to be poor.
Right.
He's not. The Kardashians are never going to be poor. But if you're raising your kids to be like, you got to kind of figure some things out.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a friend that was dating someone whose family was all show.
Yeah.
Like, they got the Mercedes, they have big houses, but my friend knew their finances and they were way in debt.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it was like every dollar that they're making, like they're just trying to not declare bankruptcy. Like on like a weekly basis. But they'd always act like, oh, we got
Putting
the
on the
best
front.
thing. Yeah, we got, new SUVs and Mercedes, like all this stuff. But man, it could go away like that.
So being a poor person my whole life and finally learning how to manage money in my 30s, I talked to my boyfriend about those types of things with like buying a new car, buying a new house or whatever, when I'm like, oh, we could afford that, or we make good money, we could afford that. And he goes, we will not be house poor. He's like, I refuse. I'm not going to buy a house or a car, and then that's where all of our money goes.
You can't put anything in it.
Exactly. He's like, we're not going to enjoy it if we're stressing out every month trying to pay all our bills. Like, we're fine with what we've got, like that kind of stuff. And it's just funny to me that he grew up like upper middle class, and it's one of those where I'm like, oh, because to me as a poor person, it's more of what like Bill described, where it's like, oh, I'm used to having $400 a month car payments. Might as well upgrade to a Mercedes. You know, what's the difference if I only have $38 in my checking account?
Well, I always thought of it as there are rich people who are great with money and some that are terrible with money, and there are poor people who are great with money and some who are terrible with money.
Yeah.
There are some people who are those documentaries about people that win the lottery and blow all of it.
Yeah.
Right?
The lottery ruined my life.
The lottery ruined my life because they never had money. Then they get a ton of it. They blow it all.
Yeah.
Then there's other people that are like, I've never had money. I'm not gonna spend any. I'm gonna hang on to whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Alan, I was in Vegas in January and I was walking through the Golden Nugget. That's where Poundcake just stayed. And I saw a piece of paper on the ground. I picked it up and it was a betting slip worth $900 on the Rams and the Cardinals in the playoffs.
Dang.
And the game hadn't started yet, and the Rams killed them, so I went right to the window to cash it.
That's yours.
Can you do that? Is that legal?
You can get in trouble for that.
But
it's on the ground. Like, you're not supposed to play a machine that has money in it.
it's a ground score, though. He found a betting slip.
There's like, I'm not 100%.
They don't know that it's not yours, right?
Right. But I'm not 100% certain around the laws around. I mean, there are so many cameras in casinos. So, like, if you go up to a slot machine that has money in it, like someone forgot to take their ticket and there's $1,000
You mean
in
the
there,
slip is peeking out?
Yes, you can get in trouble for using that because it's not your money.
But they have to track down the person?
Again, I don't know. And this could all just be like casino folk.
Rumor, yeah, right.
Like folklore. I don't know. But like from what I've heard from other gamblers, it's like you can get in a lot of trouble if you bet with money that is not yours. I don't know why. See, when I say it out loud, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But I've heard tale that, like, if you use a bet slip you find on the floor or something like that, that they don't have to pay you if it hits. I don't know if that's true.
So, well, if it was true, that would be contingent on them seeing you on camera before you cash it in.
Yeah, I don't
You
know.
cash it in and you're out the door.
Yeah. Can't get it
No
back,
one's
I
the
guess.
wiser. Yeah, somebody else called about a Vegas trip they took. I don't know where that is.
COVID.
What's that?
Did they get
I
COVID?
don't know about that.
Helen, this is your father calling from the Alexa. I would like to have white teeth if you would have put them back in the casket when you buried me. Get a job.
You son of a bitch. Why is my dad hectoring me from beyond the grave, from the Alexa? I don't care for that. And I have a job, Dad. I miss
Yeah,
you.
but he's mad that you took his teeth.
I didn't take his teeth.
He was buried without his
I
teeth.
didn't even know that he had dentures. I didn't know.
He wanted to be buried with his teeth.
My mom was the only one who knew. I think he was buried with his teeth. They were in. But when
Not
he was
according to the Alexa. Alexa said they weren't.
not according to my dad.
I'm gonna trust the Dad Alexa. Yeah.
Dad Alexa. Okay. Well, that is, you know what? That right there, the fact that he didn't know that little detail, that tells me that that's not really my dad.
Helen, this is your father speaking from the
Sounds like him.
Alexa.
Yeah. And also my dad wasn't 112 years old
Sounds just like him.
and an old 49er prospector either. So that's what tells me that that guy is probably lying to me. There's a dude they picked up in Maryland who's been running through a park in D.C. and beating up dudes because he thinks they're gay.
Hey!
You haven't been to
Maybe you learn how to
D.C.
throw
anytime recently, have you?
I have not, but they need to learn how to throw hands. DC is the hood. Everyone wants to talk about how liberal and how expensive it is to live there. DC is ghetto.
Who thinks D.C. is liberal, by the way? It's the...
Everyone.
It is... No, what? It's such a conservative town. It's the heart of the government.
No, it's a very liberal city.
Are those police sirens in Cody's background?
Yes. The guy who's never been to D.C. is going to give us a walking tour of D.C., by the way.
I know you guys can hear that. That's actually pretty faint.
Well, the microphone
pretty
must
loud,
be
yeah.
awesome because it sounds. And there, I don't know if you have a fan going, but we can hear that
No
too.
fan.
It might just be the buzzing of something else.
Just the sound.
Yeah, it
of-
might just be the machine.
That's the sound of the police.
They grabbed this guy. He's 48 years old, and I don't know how they finally got him, but over the past few years, he has been assaulting men that he thought were gay in a park in D.C. He would spray the men with a chemical irritant
Jeez.
at Malcolm X Park.
It took him this long to catch him.
More like Malcolm Sex Park, am I right?
Hey.
It is a park known for men. M seeking M.
Hey, what
in
happened to
park.
the X thing?
Huh?
I like the
What X thing?
well, instead of when you change your name and you join Islam,
Yep.
you go, okay, now I'm this X, and it seemed like it was only around for that era.
Oh, I don't
More
know.
people than Malcolm X do that? Is that
Yeah,
what you're
yeah.
referring to?
There were other people that did it.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
know.
you either went with X or you went with Shabazz, right? Remember Shabazz Napier? Is he still playing? He used to play for the.
There's a lot of different. There's Muhammad Ali. There's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So there's a lot of people that completely changed their names. Mm-hmm. But Malcolm X is the most famous of the ones that just went X.
Full on X.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was DMX.
That was
He was
his,
going to give it to
that,
you.
that was his government,
Yeah.
as Poundcake said.
His government, right. X going to give it to you. So,
Free of charge. Was that how it went?
You know what? And Malcolm X's real name was Malcolm Little. So there's an implication there. If you're trying to be a leader of some kind, if you're trying to, really get your name out there as an activist, maybe the name Little didn't give him the image he wanted.
Well,
he didn't-
not when it comes at the end. If it would have been at the beginning, Lil Malcolm,
Lil X.
Lil X, That's rapper name now.
Or it's just poor marketing. A little goes a long way. You know, he could have played.
Yeah, but
with
X
that,
marks the spot.
right? There's a lot of things.
Okay. Well, they called him Detroit Red for a while. Does that count?
No.
Oh. He had a buddy who was an aspiring comedian that he was running with for a while in Harlem. There's a restaurant called Jimmy's Chicken Shack. There was a band that took a name, Jimmy's Chicken Shack. It was a real place. It was in Harlem, and when Malcolm X was a younger man, one of his running buddies was this guy who wanted to be a comedian. And they called I don't remember his name, but they called him Chicago Red. And because Malcolm Little, also had reddish hair, they called him Detroit Red.
Oh.
And so these two guys were running around. I don't know why, because he wasn't from Detroit, but, you know. And how high do you have to climb up the ladder, by the way, socially or whatever, to be assassinated rather than killed? Like Shinzo Abe, the former prime minister of Japan, was just assassinated. But he was a head of state. So that I get. But they do refer to Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., they refer to those guys as being assassinated.
It's how famous you are.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
How famous you are.
Yeah.
So if a mayor were to get assassinated or a mayor were to get killed, is that assassinated?
Well, I think anyone who serves as a head of something publicly.
Public figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But government.
Yeah.
So a mayor would be assassinated. But like if one of us.
Head of a company?
No, it's just a killing.
Wait a minute, though. Is it also the nature of the killing?
And the target, yeah, like if you're targeting somebody.
If you're targeting, if you're stalked and then they take you out, you know, because they're a super fan or something, that's an assassination.
Huh. Okay.
No, it's not, because there was that girl from The Voice that got shot, and she was shot by a super fan, and I wouldn't call that an assassination. I feel like if you have like a political ideology or something,
It's mostly
you're trying to
politics.
push an agenda.
Yeah, because I mean, you know.
Well, John Lennon was assassinated. Was he pushing an agenda?
Well, it says.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was.
It says to assassinate is to target and deliberately kill someone.
Yeah, so I think.
But any person who, but malice aforethought, that would just mean that every person who is killed in a premeditated fashion
Is
an assassinated.
So
I
that
think people
means
just like saying ass.
So-
and that gives it to you twice.
everyone who has killed someone should introduce themselves as an assassin. Like they're in
Yes.
in prison and they're like, "What are you in for?" He's like, "I'm an assassin."
Sounds way cooler than just murderer.
What'd you do? I killed someone in a drunk driving accident. I am an assassin.
Well, that wasn't targeted though.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But I'm curious how well known you have to be. Like, what level do you have to be the victim of an assassination?
Oh boy.
5,000 followers on Instagram.
5,000. You don't
Oh,
even
so
swipe
Once
up.
you can start doing the swipe ups,
So there's
getting
like
assassinated.
Swipe ups,
bartenders then
but
in
that's-
Cleveland that could be assassinated.
There's not even a swipe up anymore. That's not
The
even a
link
thing
thing or
anymore, and
whatever.
everyone can do the link.
What? The swipe up is gone. I worked so hard for that.
Cody, it's been up like a year.
My bad.
Out of all the people that I would think that would be so very online and plugged in to how these things work, it would be Poundcake.
He doesn't have to sell
He's
anything.
like the least, huh?
What does he have to link to? He doesn't have to put up links to anything.
I don't either, but I'm still doing more stuff than he is. He's like, no swipe up, what?
Because he wants people to look at his duck face selfies and that's it.
I only took
You didn't-
one.
you-
And it was at the Grand Canyon because there was nothing else to look. I'm sorry, not the Grand Canyon. The Hoover Dam because there was nothing else to look at. I didn't do that many duck faces.
We
If
mean
I did,
in-
you was gonna say something.
We
Make
mean
me.
in general.
Oh, okay.
You'll be in the
You got it.
studio.
Yeah.
Here's my duck face studio pic.
You don't even post your own podcast.
Yeah, that would be something you would know if you ever posted links.
Yeah, that's right. Swipe up for my links.
And it was such an important thing for you. Like, I want 10K because I want the swipe up. And then, nah.
I used to do the swipe up all the time.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Not
You
intentionally.
played yourself, playa. I got to take a break here. Hey, you want to go see the Outlaw Music Festival? This is happening at the end of the month. It's 2 weeks from today, as a matter of fact. Out at Blossom, Willie Nelson and ZZ Top and Government.